The Australian Grand Prix was far from what Ferrari fans envisioned for Hamilton's much-anticipated debut. Months of build-up, immense hype, and eager anticipation all led to a race that ended in disappointment. The seven-time world champion's first outing in red concluded with a 10th-place finish. This was not how it was supposed to unfold. Ferrari showed promising pace in practice, with the SF25 looking like a contender at the front. But when it truly mattered, the team collapsed under pressure. And no, this wasn't on Hamilton. This was classic Ferrari, another strategy debacle that only worsened as the race progressed. At one stage, Hamilton was in prime position, even leading the race, poised to capitalize on the chaos. However, Ferrari's pit wall miscalculated, leaving him out on the wrong tires while the rest of the grid switched to intermediates. Just like that, his race was compromised before it truly began. How did Hamilton go from fighting for the win to desperately clinging to a single point? Because once again, Ferrari fumbled its strategy. If this was an isolated incident, it might be brushed aside. But let's be honest, doesn't this feel all too familiar? The frustration in Hamilton's voice made it clear, this wasn't just a tough race, it was a wasted opportunity. He recognized at the moment the Ferrari pit wall informed him he had dropped to 9th after his pit stop. His response was blunt, "We missed a big opportunity." For a brief, tantalizing moment, Hamilton was leading. A dream Ferrari debut was within reach. But instead of executing a decisive pit stop, Ferrari hesitated. They kept him out too long, misjudged the rain, and when they finally reacted, it was too late. And this wasn't just about Hamilton. Even Charles Leclerc, who finished 8th, admitted that Ferrari made the wrong calls. "We didn't make the right choice," he said post-race. When both drivers share the same frustration, it's clear that strategy was a disaster. This wasn't just a bad day at the office. It was a recurring Ferrari issue. Time and again, they have squandered podiums, wins, and even championship opportunities due to poor strategic decisions. Unfortunately, Hamilton has now experienced his first taste of Ferrari's infamous blunders. Anyone who follows Formula One knows that if there's a way for Ferrari to mess up a strategy call, they will likely take it. And for Hamilton, his first race in red became yet another chapter in Ferrari's long history of tactical failures. So what exactly went wrong? As rain began to fall late in the race, teams had a crucial choice: stick with slicks or switch to intermediates. Some teams reacted swiftly, making the right decision immediately. Ferrari, however, hesitated. Both Hamilton and Leclerc stayed out on dry tires while their rivals pitted. For a brief moment, they led the race, but Ferrari's indecision proved costly. By the time Hamilton finally pitted, the safety car had bunched up the pack, dropping him far down the order. The podium chance was gone. Leclerc also suffered, acknowledging that Ferrari's strategy mistakes hurt both drivers. The frustrating part? This wasn't even shocking. We've seen it too many times before. 2022's Monaco pit stop chaos, multiple questionable calls in 2023, and countless other moments where Ferrari's pit wall seemed to work against itself. Fans hoped that Hamilton's arrival would help fix these issues, that his leadership and experience would steer the team in the right direction. But after just one race, it's painfully clear the problem isn't the driver, it's the decision-making. And if Ferrari doesn't sort it out quickly, yet another golden opportunity will slip away. While strategy cost Ferrari dearly, what if that wasn't even their biggest problem? A flawed strategy can ruin a race, but an underperforming car can derail an entire season. Post-race, Hamilton didn't just criticize the pit wall. He pointed to the SF25 itself. The car was really hard to drive, he admitted. And when a 7-time world champion, who has handled some of the most challenging F1 cars in history, says a car is difficult, that's not something to ignore. So what's the issue? Firstly, Hamilton is still adjusting to Ferrari's power unit. For the first time in his 18-year career, he is driving a car not powered by a Mercedes engine. The wet conditions only amplified the challenge. Formula One cars are already tricky to manage in the rain, but when a driver isn't fully familiar with their car's power delivery and setup adjustments, the struggle intensifies. Hamilton himself acknowledged the learning curve, a lot to take from it, just getting acclimatized with the new power unit in these conditions. But here's the real concern. This isn't just about wet weather struggles. Even in the dry, Ferrari lacked pace. They looked strong in practice, but when qualifying and race day arrived, They couldn't match McLaren or Red Bull. That's a problem. Ferrari's biggest issue may not just be poor strategy, it might be inconsistency. Leclerc admitted that the SF25 felt different as the weekend progressed. "We lost pace throughout qualifying," he noted. That's not normal. An F1 car should improve as the track evolves, yet Ferrari's machine appears to fight its drivers the harder they push. Let's not forget, this car was meant to be Ferrari's answer to Red Bull, the machine to end their title drought. But after just one race, if it's already proving unpredictable, what does that mean for the rest of the season? Could this have been just a bad weekend? Possibly. New cars come with growing pains, and Hamilton is still settling in. But if Ferrari doesn't resolve these issues soon, it won't matter how talented Hamilton is. Even the greatest drivers in history can't win titles with an unstable car. And that's the real fear. If Ferrari can't provide Hamilton with a car that delivers consistently, then this move, one of the biggest in F1 history, could become yet another wasted opportunity. When Hamilton announced his move to Ferrari, fans had one lingering fear. What if they waste him? After just one race, that concern already feels unsettlingly real. Ferrari has a reputation, a bad one. They have a history of signing world-class drivers, putting them in competitive cars, and then finding ways to trip over themselves. If you think that's an exaggeration, ask Fernando Alonso or Sebastian Vettel how their Ferrari careers ended. Both were brought in to bring championships back to Maranello. Both came agonizingly close, and both left empty-handed, watching someone else claim the titles they had once dreamed of. Is it too soon to say Ferrari is already squandering Hamilton's potential? Of course, it's just one race. But if you're a Ferrari fan, tell me this doesn't feel all too familiar. A car that showed promise in testing but underwhelmed when it mattered, a strategy team making the wrong calls at the worst moments, a weekend that started with hope and ended in disappointment. Hamilton joined Ferrari to win. That's why he made this move. He saw a team that should be title contenders and believed his leadership and relentless pursuit of perfection could be the missing piece. And maybe that's true. Maybe Hamilton is exactly what Ferrari needs. But here's the reality. Ferrari has to meet him halfway. Even the greatest drivers of all time can't win if their team doesn't provide the right car, the right decisions, and the right support. Right now, it doesn't feel like Ferrari is setting Hamilton up for success. It feels like they're making his job harder. Look at Red Bull and Mercedes during their dominant years. When Verstappen or Hamilton fought for titles, they knew their team had their back. They trusted the pit wall, knowing their car would deliver when it counted. That's what a championship-winning operation looks like. But let's be fair, let's acknowledge the chaos factor. The Australian Grand Prix wasn't a straightforward race. The rain turned strategy calls into educated guesses rather than precise decisions. Ferrari wasn't the only team to struggle. McLaren nearly lost the win due to mistakes, and others faced similar problems. That doesn't excuse Ferrari's errors, but it means we shouldn't judge their entire season on this one race. Hamilton isn't panicking. He knows this is a long season. Shanghai is next, and Ferrari has a choice. Learn from their mistakes or repeat them. If they don't fix their issues soon, their biggest enemy won't be their competition, it will be themselves.